Hey folks, we're here outside the Black Forge, the home of Mr. Notorious Conor McGregor. So, Conor McGregor has been very famous in Ireland for his MMA and UFC work, right? He's from a working class area, and the working class people have got him to where he is today, you know? And what he's been doing lately is he's been on Twitter tweeting about problems that have been going on in relation to us real families and protesters who've been going across the country worried about our communities and areas. But as soon as he puts it up very soon after, he deletes the tweet in relation to saying he stands with East Wall. He deleted the tweet and saying this about sticking up for Ben Scanlon, who's a great man asking great questions. He deleted the tweet and saying about how women are worried in the streets, and he was going at Helen McEntee. He deleted the tweet. So the only thing notorious about Conor McGregor is he's notorious for deleting tweets. I encourage everybody, boycott his new Forge Brew. His new drink, Forge Stout. Boycott it, don't buy it. This man only cares about money. He doesn't care about working class people, and he's better off saying nothing when it comes to that. He's also friends, don't forget, and trained by John Kavanagh, a man who's Georgian fighter that was in his club, went out, and he was one of these men out of these buildings, went down to Ballybrack, working for the security for intimidating women protesters that were at Ballybrack. And John came out and defended him. Ignore these people. These people don't represent the working class people. So Conor, you're better off not tweeting about it. Because at the end of the day, what do? You do nothing. Because you're just a mouth online, and all you care about is your millions. If you really cared about the working class people of the community, you'd get out and say something about it, but you won't. You'll just delete it. Say whatever you want about me, but I'll call them out and I won't delete this. Black Forge. You do nothing.
How's things, lad? First of all, I want to say a big thanks to Conor McGregor for looking after us over here at the main table, this table. He's a man of his word and I'm a man of my word, and that's the way it is. Look, the government can throw whatever they want at us. The Rodrigo Garments, we want you to resign. Helen, we want you to resign. Leo, we want you out. Paul Murphy, Richard Boyd Barrett, these are far left lunatics. We don't care what you say. You can call us every newspaper, report, whatever you want. The fact is, we care about Irish people. We want nearly 14,000 people homeless, Irish, housed. We want the 4,000 kids housed. We want to look after our own people. We're sick of this mass migration. We're sick of the dangers of our city. We want a safe community. We want a safe country. We want our culture protected, our heritage protected. You can call us every name under the sun, but my kids are going to have a good future. Ireland belongs to the Irish. It's their country, and it's as simple as that. It's full. It's full. End of.
Hello Ireland. I would like to address my nation. To the people of Ireland, to our President Michael D. Higgins, to Vice Admiral Mark Mellett, to Garda Commissioner Drew Harris, Chief Medical Officer Tony Houlihan, Leo, the two Simons, Mary and Mihal. I respect you all greatly, and I would like to put forth some of my thinking. I want to say that while we are all currently debating a full lockdown, I feel that we must. Any time spent debating this is needless time from the clock. I know a good tough fight when I see one, and we have one on our hands now. I want to call upon my people, the great people of Ireland. This fight needs us all. We are all in the red corner together, awaiting the bell. So let's gather together and ring the bell ourselves, including the people of the rest of the world. True lockdown must begin, and it must begin now. A lockdown together, a lockdown united. We must close our airports. We must close all non-essential business. We must cut all non-essential travel. Commissioner Harris and Vice Admiral Mellett, we must prepare and deploy our units to all and any known built-up areas across our country now. President Higgins, you must give these great men and women the power to enforce this task if necessary. However, I know that when the true seriousness of this is understood, as it is becoming now, our great nation will oblige, and impeccably do so. It is time for a full lockdown, and we are ready. Powers that be, I am calling to you all. The fate of our great island depends on it. This is my proposal, and I pray that we can make this happen. We need to take the same measures of some of the heavier affected countries, only we must do it in quicker time. We have the advantage here in that we can see this coming. We can see this coming. But if we do not act on our advantage, then we cannot expect different results. We are not adhering to social distancing, at least not to the extent required to halt exponential growth. A lockdown will facilitate this. It will reduce transmissions, it will take the pressure off of our frontline staff, and it will allow us to identify all of our cases. These methods are stringent but necessary and have worked in China and Hong Kong. Ireland, we have got this. Not only do we have the formula, we have it ahead of time. Let's go Ireland. Let's go rest of the world. Lockdown, united. Together we stand. God bless us all.
First to the thoughts of Bernadette McCalliskey, a woman who's spent decades campaigning for working class and migrant communities.
Racism in Ireland, north or south, is not something that far-right ideologists created. It's there. It's how we are almost conditioned to think. If we're not consciously not thinking in racial terms, then we unconsciously are.
Does this island have a racism problem?
This island has a misogyny problem, a racist problem, a homophobic problem, and a class problem. And we saw the classism in how that riot was perceived in terms and described. And then you ask, what is the state doing about that? Where did that come from? And you always get to this point in degrees. It doesn't happen overnight. We have got to this point, north and south, because our system of politics is broken. Our system of economics is broken. The inequalities in our society have grown. The state have failed to provide sufficient, adequate public services for anybody. And that's not because we have immigrants. That was happening, we were on that pathway from the start. And then, in order to divert attention from that, everybody's got somebody else to blame. And that's where the far right can come in and say, look, you can see, which is true, our population is rapidly diversifying, but it is not causing the parallel problem. It's not making it any easier, but it's not causing it. Not causing it.
Are the far right capitalising on failings or perceived failings in government policy?
It's a gift. It's a gift the government hands to the far right. Because there isn't, and everybody else, because there isn't a robust challenge from government about that perception of a causal link between the two. Because for the government to robustly challenge that lie, they'd have to own up for their own responsibility for the social and economic problems on which the far right blame immigration.
How do you think the parties, the political parties in the Republic, need to react to the rise of those concerns to that far right?
Well, it's not for me to tell people on the other side of the border about what they might do, other than from whatever experience we might have learned from having made the mistakes before them. You know, where they are now, we've been for 30 years. You know, the idea of sitting in the north wondering, will it come across the border, would have to make you smile. 30 years of trouble started with one riot.
You've dealt with migrants for 25 years. What do we need to look out for here?
The first thing I'd say is that racism and sectarianism are part of the same disease. When I and STEP became involved in 2000 around the issue of the rights of migrants coming into Dungannon, we could see that the prejudices, the statements that were no longer all right to be made about Catholics or Protestants, there were people on both sides thought it all right to say about the new migrants. That's where we started. So if we're not careful, the people who have not had a benefit from the peace, the people who have not moved up a notch socially and economically in the peace, if we don't do something about social and economic disadvantage here, if we don't do something to de-sectarianise the North, which we haven't really done, then we're sitting 2 steps ahead of the South if some racist incident like that exploded. Because the people here, whom we like to call the far right in the South, and the people here who we like to call the far right as having come over on the ferry from England, the far right were born and raised here.
Who've been going across the country worried about our communities and areas. But as soon as he puts it up very soon after, he deletes the tweet in relation to saying he stands with East Wall. He deleted the tweet and saying this about sticking up for Ben Scanlon, who's a great man asking great questions. He deleted the tweet. And saying about how women are worried in the streets, and he was going at Helen McEntee, he deleted the tweet. So the only thing notorious about Conor McGregor, he's notorious for deleting tweets. I encourage everybody, boycott his new Forge Brew, his new drink, Forge Stout. Boycott it, don't buy it. This man only cares about money. He doesn't care about working class people, and boycott his new Forge Brew, his new drink, Forge Stout. Boycott it, don't buy it. This man only cares about money. He doesn't care about working class people, and he's better off saying nothing when it comes to that. He's also friends, don't forget.
How's things, lad? First of all, I want to say a big thanks to Conor McGregor for looking after us over here at the main table, his table. The man of his word, and I'm a man of my word, and that's the way it is. Look, the government can throw whatever they want at us. The Rodrigo Garments, we want you to resign. Helen, we want you to resign. Leo, we want you out. Paul Murphy, Richard Boyd Barrett, these are far left lunatics. We don't care what you say. You can call us every newspaper, report, whatever you want. The fact is, we care about Irish people. We want nearly 14,000 people homeless, Irish, housed. We want the 4,000 kids housed. We want to look after our own people. We're sick of this mass migration. We're sick of the dangers of our city. We want a safe community. We want safe country. We want our culture protected, our heritage protected. You can call us every name under the sun, but my kids are going to have a good future. Ireland belongs to the Irish.
Forged out. Boycott it, don't buy it. This man only cares about money. He doesn't care about working class people, and he's
Street on Saturday, who was actively engaged with the social media companies throughout Thursday, who was actively engaged with TikTok, actively engaged with Meta, so Instagram and Facebook, who was actively engaged with Twitter or X. She said very clearly that social media companies, in particular TikTok and Meta, they were responding, they were engaging with Gardaí, and they were taking down these vile posts as they came up. X were not. X were not. They didn't engage. They didn't.
I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't. I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.